Have you ever sat beside your child, listening to them read, and trying not to show your panic? Maybe you've secretly asked yourself, what is going on? No, you're not failing them, and your child is not broken. You just haven't been given the right tools. But hold on, this episode is about reading fluency, where overwhelmed parents become confident guides and struggling readers finally get the support they've always deserved. Welcome to the Literacy Keys. Well, hello everyone. My name is Tracy Young, OG tutor extraordinaire, founder of theliteracykeys.com, and most importantly, mom of a dyslexic daughter. Welcome to my podcast, where you'll discover ways to unlock your child's reading potential. I'll share tips, strategies, and war stories that have happened along the way, because everyone deserves to be able to read. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Literacy Keys. If you're a parent of a struggling reader or a dyslexic child, you're in the right place. I started this podcast to take the overwhelm out of becoming a strong reader and replace it with confidence, clarity, and real-life tools that you can use at home. Today, we're diving into a topic that every parent, and honestly, every educator, needs to understand. The topic is reading fluency. I'm going to talk about what reading fluency is, why it matters, and how you can help your child improve it. But let me start with a personal story, one that's very close to my heart. When my daughter was in the second grade, I used to have her read out loud to me every single day. I was dedicated, consistent, and I was certain that because we were reading together and because she was saying the words out loud, she would just naturally become a better reader. Well, that was the plan. And here's the ugly truth. It didn't work. She struggled, stumbled, and absolutely despised reading time. And I remember thinking, well, I'm doing what the teacher said. I'm having her read out loud. Why isn't this helping? Now, at the time, long before my Orton-Gillingham training and before years of working with dyslexic students, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how to break reading down into parts. I didn't know how to support reading fluency in a structured, step-by-step manner. I didn't know that simply saying the words out loud without support and without scaffolding, it wasn't enough. So if you've ever sat next to your child and thought, well, we're reading, so shouldn't this be helping? I want you to know, you are not alone. I've been that parent. So let me start by saying you're not doing anything wrong. All right, so take a deep breath. You're not going to cause irreparable harm, but what you're doing isn't working and it's not effective. So let's talk about the right tools. First, let's start with what is reading fluency? Because I think it's important to understand, the edu-speak, the gobbledygook of, well, what is it? And why is it important? Reading fluency is more than just reading quickly. It's more than sounding smooth when you read out loud. And it's definitely more than getting all the words right. Fluency is what allows a child to read at a steady, comfortable pace with accuracy, with proper expression, and without working so hard that they lose the meaning of what they're reading. And that is absolutely critical. Think of fluency as the bridge between decoding words and truly understanding what you're reading. You need to have good fluency in order to have comprehension. And in the end, that's why we read. We want to understand what we're reading. Now, why does this happen? Well, when a child is not fluent, their brain is so busy figuring out the words there is absolutely no energy left for comprehension. And this is why some kids can decode beautifully, but if you ask them, what was the story about? They stare at you with a complete blank face. Their cognitive load in the brain is maxed out. Fluency frees up the brain. It lightens the load and it creates the space for understanding and enjoyment. And the good news is, fluency is teachable. It can be improved with the right kind of practice. And you, as a parent, can do a lot to help, even in 10 minutes a day. Now, fluency is especially important for dyslexic and struggling learners. In these students, decoding takes longer and word recognition takes more repetition. The ultimate goal of what you want to do with repetition is build automaticity, right? And this can be achieved with structured, systematic practice. Fluency work is essential because it helps the brain store words in long term memory and then retrieve them faster. All right, so simply put, it's a more efficient process. What many people don't realize is that fluency doesn't automatically develop just because a child reads more. There are specific ways to improve fluency. It develops when a child practices with controlled text, and this is text that they have learned the reading pattern. For example, you don't have a child read a text with magic E words if they've never been taught about magic E and how it makes the vowel before it long and say its name. And oh, by the way, the E is silent, so you're not going to pronounce it. The second thing is using multisensory techniques such as tracing a line under a group of words can actually help them improve their fluency. So that with skilled patient guidance, you can achieve it. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and reading fluency takes a lot of practice. So now let's walk through 5 multisensory ways to improve your child's reading fluency. Now, these are practical tools that you can start using immediately. They're Orton-Gillingham aligned, they're research supported, and best of all, they're parent friendly. You do not need a PhD in order to use these tips. Let's dive in. The first thing you can do, I call it echo reading. I read, then you read. And this is one of the simplest but most effective fluency strategies. How does it work? Well, you read a sentence or two first out loud. This allows you to model the expression of what you're reading, the pacing of what you're reading, and the accuracy for your child. Then you have your child echo or repeat exactly what you read using the same or as close to your intonation and pacing and everything else. Now, why does this work? Why does echo reading work? Your voice provides a blueprint, and your child's brain gets to hear good fluency modeled. That allows them to imitate it. There are even some multisensory things you can do to help make it easier and build even more neural pathways so that they remember it. When you're reading, use a finger under the words as you read. You kind of slide your finger as you go along. Then, when your child reads, have them slide their finger as they echo you. What this does is the kinesthetic, the motion, right, with the listening, then creates stronger neural pathways. And they can slide the finger also when they're reading. The next thing you can do, this is called scooping, right? So you read phrases and you read them as chunks. So a phrase scoop helps a child see that chunks of text are read together instead of single words. How do you do it? You take a simple sentence and you draw a curved scoop. You don't have to physically do it, but you can if you own the book. So you draw a curved scoop under different phrases. For example, the sentence is, the little puppy ran down the hill to its owner. Now, if you can hear when I say it, I've automatically scooped it. The little puppy is the first scoop, ran down the hill is the second one, to its owner is the third. Draw a curved line under the little puppy. Then draw another line, kind of like the bottom of a circle, under ran down the hill, and then a third scoop to its owner. This adds a visual component for your child, and it teaches your child to read in phrases, not word by word. Why does this help? Well, dyslexic learners often get stuck reading each word in isolation. And that's part of the reason that it feels and sounds so stilted. Scooping supports comprehension and will boost speed, reading speed, naturally. You can add a multisensory twist by using a highlighter and let your child physically draw the scoops before reading. That movement with the hearing and the visual again creates more neural pathways in the brain. A third thing you can do involves repeated readings, but this time with a twist. Now, repeated readings might get a little boring for you or your child, but definitely for you. But it's the gold standard of fluency technique. But there are things that you can do to make it fun. First, you choose a short decodable passage. You would read it once together, and then you have your child read it 2 or 3 more times. But here's the twist. Each time they read it, they're going to change the style in which they read it. So let's say, for example, the first one they read in a grumpy old man voice. The next one, they read in a whisper voice. You can have another one, read it in a robot voice, right? So pick whatever you want. The idea is just to make it playful, because by making it playful, you lower their anxiety and increase the motivation. Ask your child what type of voice they want to read it in. Involve them in the decision. Right? This helps engage them. You can make cards for the different voices, right? And have your child pick a card for the type of voice to read. Put all the cards on a table, right? Flipped over, and then just to have them pick one. Just makes it like a game. Remember, it's the repetition that builds the automaticity. And automaticity is automatic recall of a word within 3 seconds. If it doesn't happen in 3 seconds, it's not yet automatic. There's no need to think about it. It just happens. One multisensory component, if you want, in addition to flipping the cards over, let your child move a small object, maybe like a bead or something, a chess piece, all right, either across a board into a cup after each reading in order to create a tactile count of their repetitions. A fourth thing that you can do is timed readings. Now, before you freak out and say that my kids hate timed readings, let me explain. Okay, because it's not an oxymoron. I'm not talking about reading fast. I'm talking about improvement over time. What you do is use a timer for 60 seconds. Your child reads a familiar passage. You don't want a cold passage that they've never read before, right? That's too stressful. Count how many words they read correctly within the 60 seconds. And it doesn't matter. If they read 5, that's 5. That is your baseline. That's your starting point. Record the number. Then you do it again in a few days. Don't do it every day. Give it a couple of days, right? And you celebrate every single improvement. The next time if they get 5 again, celebrate. 3 days later, if they get 7 words, you celebrate. All right? And the reason that this helps is that kids in general, forget dyslexic learners, they thrive when they can see their progress. So a way to add a multisensory twist to this is create a bar chart and let your child color in each new bar number each day, right, that you recorded. So the visual with the kinesthetic and so forth provides a confidence boost for that. It's all about engaging them as readers. And finally, the fifth thing that you can do is partner reading with roles. So kids love when reading feels like a team activity. What you do is you switch reading. You read one paragraph, your child reads the next one, and you keep switching. Now, why is this important? It keeps the reading load manageable for their brain. Often children become tired after reading. By switching, you're giving them a quick respite. You're giving them time to catch their breath, so to speak. This reduces fatigue and frustration. And best of all, it gives your child the belief that they can do it. Now, a way to put a multisensory twist on this is give your child a pointer or even a puppet or something to hold as they read their section. Something that allows them to focus. So I just provided 5 different ways that you can help build reading fluency in your child. So I just provided 5 different ways that you can improve your child's reading fluency. But there are a couple of things that I want you to remember. As you work on reading fluency at home, remember that your child is not behind. They are on a different path. Do not compare them to any other siblings, other students, or even to what you experienced when you learned to read. They are on their own path. Their progress may be slower, but they will become fluent readers. You need to know there are no shortcuts. Improving reading fluency takes time. Small, consistent praxis makes a huge difference. It's not just about reading fluency. It's about giving your child the gift of confidence. So I hope you can incorporate some of these tips with your child as you build up the reading fluency. And I appreciate your time spent with me. I hope today's episode leaves you feeling encouraged and equipped with new tools to support your child's reading fluency. Now, before you go, I want to invite you to something special I've been working on. I'm currently offering beta access to my new spelling course. There are too many children who struggle to spell because they were never taught the fundamentals. I decided to create a course to teach parents the same Orton-Gillingham principles that I use with my students. Now, if you would like to be one of the beta testers and help shape the course before it goes live, I'd love to have you. I've posted the link in the show notes and encourage you to check it out. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to the Literacy Keys podcast. Follow us on social media, and most importantly, tell a friend. See you next week.